Aliens Task Force lost the richest lady. She was found sleeping in the muscular human soldier's shelter. They searched with fleets, with drones, with sorcery. The wealthiest woman in the Orion Belt had vanished without a trace. But when they finally found her, she wasn't in a fortress or starship. She was asleep in the rough shelter of a human soldier. The wealthiest woman in the Orion Belt had vanished. An entire alien task force scoured the mountains, scanning with their sorcery and machines. Her private guards, armed with technology worth more than planets, searched every valley. But when they finally found her, she wasn't hiding in a palace bunker or aboard a luxury cruiser. She was asleep in the rough canvas shelter of a human soldier. Lady Seraphine was a name whispered across systems. Heiress to a trillion-credit fortune, her words shifted markets, her gestures toppled corporations. She had been traveling under heavy escort when raiders struck, unknown pirates with weapons that bent light and shadow. In the chaos, she disappeared. The aliens in charge of her security spread across the rugged mountains where her shuttle had crashed. Drones hummed overhead. Telepaths scanned the air for her fear. But the wealthiest woman in the Orion Belt left no trace. In a crude lean-to of canvas and steel poles, Sergeant Mason Cole sat cleaning his rifle by the glow of a low fire. His muscles were corded with years of soldiering, his face hardened, his eyes always watchful. Behind him, wrapped in his heavy cloak, lay Lady Seraphine. She breathed softly, exhausted, her jeweled necklace hidden beneath folds of coarse fabric. Cole had found her half buried in wreckage, her guards dead, her transport aflame. Without ceremony, he had thrown her over his shoulder, carried her across 2 valleys, and built this shelter. Now, she slept more peacefully than she had in years. Seraphine stirred, blinking at the dim firelight. She was used to silken sheets, perfumed air, and meals served on crystal. Instead, she found herself lying on rough canvas, the scent of smoke and earth heavy around her. "You're awake," Mason said without looking up. His voice was low, steady. Her throat was dry. Where am I?" "Safe," he said simply. "At least for now." She frowned, unused to such bluntness. "Do you know who I am?" "Yes." He didn't even glance at her. "Doesn't matter." No one had ever spoken to her like that. And for reasons she couldn't name, it steadied her more than any guard ever had. Outside, alien search parties moved closer. They questioned villagers, unleashed hounds, and scanned caverns with beams of light. But the mountain was vast, and the human soldier knew it better than any map. Mason had been stationed here for months. He knew every ridge, every stream, every blind path that no drone could find. When Seraphine asked, "Why haven't they found us yet?" Mason finally looked at her. "Because they don't think like me. They expect signals, trails, mistakes. I don't leave any." She realized then that her survival didn't rest on her fortune, her name, or her guards. It rested on the discipline of a single human soldier. As night stretched long, Seraphine found herself speaking. She confessed things she had never told anyone, how her wealth had become a cage, how every smile around her hid ambition, how she had never felt safe in her own life. Mason listened silently, his face unreadable in the firelight. When she finally asked, "Why are you helping me?" he shrugged. "Because you're alive. And I was there. No reward. No favor. Don't need it." She stared at him, baffled. For the richest woman in the Orion Belt, every relationship had always been transactional. But here was a man who asked for nothing. For the first time, she felt like a person, not a prize. By dawn, the alien task force finally closed in. Searchlights swept the valleys. Boots crunched on gravel. Mason extinguished the fire and readied his rifle. "They'll be here soon." Fear gripped Seraphine. "If they take me." "They won't." His voice was iron. "Stay behind me." Moments later, armored alien soldiers emerged from the mist. Their commander sneered at the sight of the human. You dare harbor her, ape? Hand her over, and we may spare you. Mason's stance didn't waver. You lost her. I found her. She stays with me until I know she's safe. The aliens laughed. One human soldier against us all. Mason's finger tightened on the trigger. That's usually enough. The firefight was brutal. Mason's rifle barked fire, each shot precise, dropping armored soldiers one by one. Explosions tore through the mist as mines he had planted earlier detonated. Seraphine crouched low, heart pounding, watching as the man who had carried her through wreckage now fought like a storm-given flesh. At last, the survivors retreated, cursing, vowing to return with more. Mason lowered his rifle, chest heaving. He turned to Seraphine. We need to move. They'll be back. She nodded, her fear replaced with something else, trust. When reinforcements from the Terran Republic finally arrived days later, they found her still in Mason's shelter, asleep beside the fire. The richest woman in the Orion Belt could have demanded a palace, a ship, 1,000 luxuries. Instead, she had chosen to remain under the protection of a human soldier's cloak. As the officers saluted her, she rose unsteadily. This man saved my life. Remember his name. Mason Cole. The officers bowed, but Mason only shouldered his rifle, ready to vanish back into the mountains. Wait, Seraphine said softly. If you ever need anything, my fortune is yours. He shook his head. Keep it. Just live. And then he was gone, leaving her to wonder why the shelter of one human soldier had felt safer than all the wealth in the galaxy. The alien task force failed. The wealthiest woman in the Orion Belt was not saved by fleets, fortresses, or fortune. She was saved by a man with nothing but muscle, grit, and an iron will. And though she returned to her life of riches, she never forgot the night she had been found sleeping in a soldier's shelter, where for the first time, she had felt truly safe. She had palaces, riches, armies. Yet safety was found in a single soldier's shelter. Sometimes, the greatest treasure in the galaxy is trust. What did you think of this story? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more HFY tales. Until next time, remember, true strength is not in wealth, but in will.